Hi pals, it's me, Artie, they in pronouns only, and I am coming to you post one of the worst migraines I've had in a long time. It's still kind of lingering, so I'm doing my best. This video is going to be part of, I think it's probably going to be a series. Artie's coming back to booktube, bitch. Oh, hell yeah, shit. Anyway, basically, we're moving at some point soon. And one of the easiest things to pack for me is books because I honestly don't really touch a lot of my physical books. But realizing that made me think, yeah, I should probably start trying to read these books. So I spent a good amount of time searching for all of the books I own on Spotify audiobook. I did not look through Libby. I decided I'd just keep it to Spotify audiobooks for now because a lot of them are actually available there. And also, sometimes I just don't know what to use my 15 hours of audiobook time for on Spotify. So giving my audiobook hours a specific purpose, unless there's a particular book I want to read, just makes sense to me. So this is I guess the beginning of maybe a sort of regular, basically kind of like a reading vlog, but I'm going to be listening to all of these on audiobook as much as possible anyway. I might still have a few of my smaller, shorter books out that I could read with my eyeballs, but maybe not. We'll see. So yeah, my channel hasn't really been about books for a long time, but I just kind of thought this was I don't know, maybe a satisfying challenge to be able to share with you so that you can see all of the books that I haven't read and need to read. I put them all in a playlist as well. And I think when I'm struggling to decide what to read next, I'm going to be asking on Instagram and Blue Sky for your suggestions or people's suggestions for what to read next, because there's quite a lot of books on that playlist and they really span quite a large range of genres, and they have been sitting on my shelf for a long time. Some of them I feel like I've just never been that excited about, so at least this will get me to try reading it, and if I think it sucks, then I can just not read it and put it on my to DNF to get rid of when I unpack all my books again. Or some of them I feel like I were so popular and so well talked about, I've kind of overhyped them in my head that I am anxious to read them. Things like Ace of Spades, I think, was one of them. There are lots of books on my list that I'm yeah, I really want to read that for fun reasons, but also a lot on there that I want to read for further understanding, further education, kind of reading theory around disability, queerness, transness, etc. So yeah, I know that I take things in a bit easier at the moment via audiobook. It's just helpful when I have so much going on as well. So this is my first video of this project. I guess we'll see what people think as we go, and if it's not the vibe, then maybe I'll stop. But if people are enjoying it, then I'll carry on doing it until I have at least read all of the books that I found on Spotify. So with all that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and watch my other videos, and enjoy this video. Hello. It's warm, even though it's super overcast right now, because it is about to rain. I'm sure it's about to rain or have a huge storm. Anyway, so I have many physical books that I was supposed to read at some point. Some of them I've had for fucking years. So I thought it would be a good idea to use my Spotify audiobook thing and my it's raining now and my Libby and whatever else to listen to some of these books that I've had on my shelves for some of them more than 10 years. Oops. There's a few that I haven't been able to find yet, but that's okay. I just want to try and get through as many books as possible, just kind of in my spare time, whilst I do other things. I listen to a lot of audiobooks or podcasts, etc., whilst I do other tasks. Like if I'm having a bath, if I am cooking, if I am doing something with my art business. Like literally right now, it's not my art business, but like I have this t-shirt that was a screen print, but I bought it secondhand for somebody else who'd already been wearing it. So it kind of already been partially washed off. And now I have a bunch of different colored clothing paints. I'm starting the process of painting over the screen print with a teeny tiny brush. So this is what I was doing whilst I started my first book from my shelves. And that was, I've already forgotten what it is because like that's what I mean. It's been so long since I, looked at half these books, but I just decided to stick on the Kurt Cobain memoir that I've owned for God knows how long. And that is Heavier Than Heaven, the biography of Kurt Cobain. And that made me want to start recording for the video a bit more. The only thing I've recorded before this was just me going through the shelves to find my books on Spotify. I also have put them, the ones I could find anyway, in a playlist so that I can kind of easily access them and move them out of the playlist if I finish them. So I started listening to that, and I wanted to talk about some of the things I've heard already, even though I've literally listened to like 5 minutes. But it was just really funny how one of the first things said about Kurt Cobain is that he was writing in his journals about how he would become famous years before he did. And I just felt really called out by that. And also, I think he was writing in his journals like how he was going to do it. Feel really called out by that because I have so many. I have one of these every year. So that was funny. But then also quite an early on statement as well is that Kurt Cobain was suffering from some kind of painful stomach acidic gastro issue. And it's like, same bitch, I've got Crohn's disease. I've always felt a weird affinity to that man. Even though we weren't even on the planet at the same fucking time alive. He died just under 6 months before I was born. So I've always found him like quite a fascinating person. I think I don't know if I actually explicitly said it this way in a video probably a while ago by the time this video goes live. But the one where I was like, disabled people can't have anything nice, and it's like tattoos and hair dye and whatever. I said in one of the times I filmed that video that I've always kind of leaned towards alternative fashion, but especially grunge. And also the same for grunge music. I don't listen to a ton of it presently, but I definitely was a big fan of Nirvana, Hole, obviously, Garbage in particular, Garbage especially. There are definitely loads of others. I think I don't know if I still have a playlist or if I ever had one for that kind of era of music that I loved at the time. But yes, I definitely did listen to a lot of grunge music in my late teens, mostly. So yeah, I love learning things about people and history. So interestingly, and yet entirely unsurprisingly as well, it seems like Kurt Cobain probably had ADHD. I think I've read bits and pieces here and there about that on the internet, but this biography covers basically what his family thought, as well as the fact that he was going to doctors about his hyperactivity. They stopped him from eating red dye for a while, and it didn't do anything. They limited his sugar, didn't really do anything. Then he was on Ritalin for 3 months. Whoopie doo. Back then, and even still today, a lot of people have the probably mostly incorrect idea that having ADHD and being on stimulants makes you more likely to become addicted to drugs in the future. Ironically, I think it's the opposite. Untreated ADHD is more likely to lead to addiction and dependency on other drugs and substances. So yeah, very unsurprising. And apparently he was a really good artist, like drawer. He would be able to draw exact replicas of Disney characters and was accused of tracing his drawings when he wasn't. Very relatable. It's me. I have run out of listening time. I'm on, like, near the end of chapter 13. I have been trying to paint and I have stripped my sheets whilst doing so. What do I think, though? What do I think of the audiobook? Bad, for the most part. Kurt gets a lot weirder, like, in concerning ways, especially as a teenager. He then starts to, like, normal out a little bit after that. There is a lot of really violently ableist language used. There's a lot of the R-slur quite often. There's a really rough section to do with Kurt Cobain trying to lose his virginity to a disabled girl. I'm sort of more in the early stages of Nirvana taking off, like they finally actually named themselves Nirvana. Bleach is out, and not once has it ever been discussed that Kurt Cobain was a roadie for Bam Bam, the first, it's debatable, but like one of the very first grunge bands from Seattle that was also fronted by a black woman called Tina Bell. Like, I remember hearing about this and reading about this in other places. It has just not been mentioned at all yet, so I don't know if that is coming or if it is one of those books that they don't feel like that section of his life fits the narrative of him or the biography they want to write, because it's lots of people talk about Nirvana being the first grunge band or other like white man led bands from like the 80s, 90s. So yeah, we love to not give credit to black women, or if that's also just I don't want to give it the excuse of it being a lesser known part of his history, because like if you're writing a fucking book about somebody, I also think the person who is writing this is like a proper journalist, so no excuses, honestly. At the moment he has a girlfriend whose name I can't remember, And their house is disgusting. Genuinely concerned. The more I listen to this book, the more it's like, yeah, Kurt Cobain was clearly neurodivergent, at least ADHD, because he's suddenly become a hoarder. And oh my god, that was a really disgusting. There's just a lot. He's really gross. He's a really disgusting man. He used to put his own semen on his art that he was making. Disgusting. But yeah, like, his house was a mess. Him and his girlfriend basically collected a bunch of odd little pets. I can't think what the names of these animals are called, but like rats, rabbits. There's some not nice stories around those things too. I think they also have lizards and stuff. I don't know. I think they had a few cats. Blah blah blah. But their house stinks like a zoo, and often is just covered in different animal feces. Yeah, I hate that. But also we've just kind of gotten to the part where he's actually gone to try and access some healthcare for his stomach issues, which I don't think were ever diagnosed. But like, Kurt Cobain remained very skinny regardless of what he ate. He avoided eating vegetables, and as a crony bitch, I know the feeling. Yeah, he often wouldn't eat when other people were eating, but would be hungry. But yeah, so he did go to a hospital at least once to start trying to work out what's going on. Every test came back with no reason why he has stomach pain, and when they wanted to do further testing, he chickened out because he is scared of needles. So that's the whole reason why I decided to film this clip, because I just wanted to say it's pretty sick to find out how much more punk rock you are, i.e. myself, how much more punk rock I am than the literal grunge god that was Kurt Cobain. I literally had a blood test yesterday, bitch. There's a little mark there. Like, I remember saying that to a friend of mine once, like how punk rock it is to be chronically ill, because imagine sending celebrities, or even just generally people you know in your life who aren't chronically ill, off to go and deal with all the shit that like we have to deal with. Like, hi bitch, we're about to stick this pipe up your butt with a camera on the end to have a look. How's it going? We're gonna do the same but up your nose, and we're gonna keep putting all sorts of weird dyes into you to take some fun pictures of your insides. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't broadly recommend people listen to this book, because yeah, I definitely don't think the author gives much of a shit about the kinds of things that I give a shit about. And this is why I enjoy watching and listening to like historic stuff from like YouTubers and podcasters, because there's a few that I follow and really enjoy who are really, really good at being able to go actually into archives and find evidence of things and have degrees in that. And they just provide something way more interesting than a lot of biography writers do, especially like older biography writers. I don't really read a lot of like new biographies, but like I've watched some really interesting ones on Marilyn Monroe, lots of queer historic podcasts. Oh, also speaking of queer, Kurt Cobain was literally walking around in fucking high heels and like sparkly disco clothes at points. He's never beating the trans allegations, honestly. There was also another thing oh yeah, like some of his art reads as very trans but not realizing they're trans yet, where he was basically just blending human body parts with like across sexes. So that sounds really trans to me. But yeah, so I'm not super enjoying a lot of this book. A lot of it is really gross that I don't like. There are some parts that I find really interesting. I just wish it was written by somebody who had more of like a queer disability kind of background, because clearly there's like, even if he's not chronically ill, even if he is not queer or trans. Like, there's elements to those communities in his life experience, and it just would have been nice to have more of an analysis or like look at that overall. Hello, this is after filming this video, but one of my clips was corrupted somehow, and unfortunately I think the reason it's become corrupted is to do with my little mic setup, that occasionally you'll hear it in the clip where it's like buzzing at the start. A lot of the clips are usually fine. This is the first time I've ever actually had an issue. So yeah, it's really frustrating because I don't know why or what it is about it that is causing that annoying buzzing or to corrupting videos. But the audio as well now in the next clip is going to sound really weird because I just decided to screen record it. And the screen recordings record all sound, so it's not recording sound from the computer like in the screen, it's recording like all of the sound around, which is really irritating. I don't know how to change that or do that differently, but I have saved my video for now. I might have to look for something else for my mic, which is really crap because I was getting used to using them. I was really liking the improved audio quality for the most part. Hello, I am just doing a little top up of my money pieces because, like I said in this video, my hair has been fucked so many times by these hairdressers and myself that some patches just don't really stick. Like the hair dye doesn't really stick. So I have to keep topping them up a lot, and I have somewhere to be to look good and nice tomorrow, so I want to just have a slightly more easily topped up hair dye. Anyway, my Spotify hours have renewed for the month. I think it's just under 9 hours, or like somewhere around the 8 hour something mark left of the Kurt Cobain biography that I was listening to. So I will obviously be able to get through that with this month's hours, and then I'll have to pick my next book from my TBR shelves, IRL, the real shelves. So I don't know what I'm going to do next. But yeah, generally the vibes, the vibes are Kurt Cobain has always been kind of fucked up in like an edgy way. I don't know if I would have liked him if I had met him in real life, but yeah, he's clearly mentally unwell, generally, physically unwell, and like just super antisocial actually. Yeah, like I think, like I said before, I think a lot of this is definitely skewed by who's writing the biography, same mental illness, because I don't know. We just went over this weird thing that he wrote about dreaming he was lactating. So like, yeah, that's that. So I'm gonna listen to more of the book today whilst I finish doing my hair. I need to film at some point for my like ongoing videos. I don't know what I'm going to film. I don't know if I have the energy to film today, but because I'm going out tomorrow, I don't know if I'll be able to film tomorrow either. So it might have to be something that I just have to squeeze in on Monday, even though I'm super busy. Yay me. Okay, my hair is washed. I'm not sure if I'm having an allergic reaction or if I'm just itchy. And now I'm just sorting out some, oh my god, collaging materials somewhere here for my research project and for selling at markets in themed bundles and stuff whilst I'm listening to the audiobook. I'm so tired. Hello. I have now finished the Kurt Cobain biography. I listened to a lot of it the last couple of days. I was out in London getting my teeth whitened. Can't see a huge difference on camera. And hanging out with a friend of mine. So I listened to quite a lot of the end whilst travelling and whilst waiting for my teeth to be whitened. And I finished it up just now. And it does get better. I think Kurt, as a human, particularly when he was younger, was really not a likable person. He did a lot of political activism thanks to the labour of numerous girlfriends he had. One of them was from Bikini Kill. Like, she was the first one that was kind of like teaching him riot girl politics and feminism. And then more came from Courtney Love. Also, after having listened to this book, I genuinely feel like Courtney Love has been given like a really bad rap for no reason when it comes to Kurt Cobain. Like, I'm not defending her generally. She's definitely done and said some stuff that's just like bad. Genuinely, listening to this book, it just seemed like she just really loved Kurt Cobain. And he was hard to be with, and she was not well herself. Like, towards the end of his life, he basically just gave up on everything. He did not care. He was pushing everybody away. You know, the really, really typical things that happen when someone's severely mentally ill, depressed and suicidal, and have a drug addiction. Something that I was especially interested by was his stomach issues being talked about in this book. So it's something that I would love to carry on reading about, because obviously it didn't really go into a lot of detail. Apparently Kurt Cobain had numerous gastroscopies, which I attempted to have and managed to have a PTSD freak out. He apparently didn't meet the diagnostic criteria or whatever for Crohn's disease, but looking back at an old video I made, which was from private practice, which is a drama, but still, and that was in the early 2000s, and they'd only just started doing colonoscopies, seemingly, for Crohn's disease diagnosis. So a lot of me wonders, did we just not have the diagnostic tools when Kurt Cobain was alive? Because there were some really good quotes of him talking about his chronic stomach issues and chronic stomach pain. One of them in particular was like, you know, when you've been in chronic pain for 5 years, you become insane. And I was like, yeah. Yeah. Fuck, got me. You fucking got me, bitch. But there was no mention of any other stomach diseases besides IBS. There are other stomach conditions that could have been causing this: GERD, diverticulitis, colitis. Crohn's and colitis also can manifest in different parts of your digestive tract in different ways. There was something else as well. Gastroparesis, you know, things like that. There's so many stomach illnesses that do have diagnostic tests and criteria now that maybe didn't in late 80s, early 90s, because he also suffered with this for a long time. That quote, he was talking about 5 years, but I'm pretty sure he'd had these stomach issues for longer than 5 years. And they did start before he got into particularly heavy drugs. And he was basically doing heroin because he was in pain, is what he has been quoted to have said numerous times. And that heroin was the only thing that worked. So yeah, a lot of that part really got me, because I understand that temptation. I mean, at times when nothing that I have works, I used to just drink, because alcohol does work for pain relief. And now I'm on medical cannabis. Like, this is why my other videos about pain management and pain treatment are important, because pain makes you want to die when it is your whole life. And I also really related to the fact that he couldn't eat anything. Like, his one safe food was Kraft mac and cheese. And, like, I think mini pizzas, someone referenced at one point, which is really common for a lot of Crohn's disease patients anyway. We struggle a lot of the time to digest vegetables. That's the most common presentation. There's a lot of variations with this, but it's a very common presentation. So yeah, like, I think if I can find some more books or anything about Kurt Cobain that I can watch, listen to, read, maybe make some notes on this, I would really like to make an in-depth video discussing that in general. But yeah, it was cool to read that, he was defending gay rights, defending women, defending abortion rights. And it's so funny when people say, like, oh, music isn't political. They were performing at fundraisers for political things. Yeah, that's kind of all I have to say, really. I have to choose my next book. I don't know what I'm going to choose yet. So I've got many books to choose from. Maybe I'll just go for another biography. I think I have a Marilyn Monroe one, who is also someone who massively interests me, especially because it is, I don't know if it has been confirmed, but she's thought to have had PCOS/endometriosis or both. So maybe I'll read that next, whilst I'm sorting out more materials for my research project. Okay, I don't seem to have a Marilyn Monroe book on my list. Hello, what's my hair doing? I do have a few shorter books. That I can try to use the small amount of hours I have left on. So I did just read, oh my god, I'm gonna have to pause to check the title because I got distracted. Whites on Race and Other Falsehoods. It's a very short book because it's basically an essay, and it is from a Black British POV, basically. Not a lot to say on it overall, just that it is an important book to read, and especially for British people, because it does sometimes feel like a lot of literature is centralized around America. So yeah, it's important to engage with media, essays, etc., that are relevant to where you live, first and foremost. So I don't know what else I'll be reading. So that's the end of this, the first video of this reading vlog project, something or other, etc. Blah blah. My head and brain hurt so much. Let me know what you think down below. Also, feel free to go and check out my audiobook playlist that I'm working through, and leave your vote for what I should be prioritizing to read in the comments. You don't even have to have read it. I just helps me decide, So yeah, besides that, go and check out one of my other videos here. Depending on whether you want to reminisce about the short period of time where I was a booktuber. Also, maybe it's just because I enjoy watching booktube as like a calming video kind of activity. I almost always watch booktube at the moment to go to sleep. I found that I respond very well to voices when it comes to feeling relaxed and going to sleep. So I'm trying to work with that hack. Sometimes I use podcasts that I'm not that interested in, just because I know they're going to be like chill chatting. I think I was 90% asleep whilst listening to one of the books today because of my migraine, but it is what it is. Yeah, go watch another video of mine. Subscribe. Let me know what book I should read next from my shelf in the comments down below. I'm not really sure how often I'm going to post these. I was thinking maybe monthly or every 2 months. Let me know what you think is a good one. And how long do you think these should be? Like, how many books do you think you want to see me get through? Because I don't want to finish these vlogs where I'm like partway through a book, so I won't do that. But yeah, is an hour good? Is more than that good, or is that both of those too long? Because some of the books I have a lot to say, some of them I don't. Some of the books are really long as well, so there is more to talk about. But yeah, anyway, besides all that, I will see you next week. Bye.